Good Friday evening, folks. I'm NTV Chief Meteorologist Eddie Sheerr. This is your evening weather update now just after 7 o'clock. And the weather certainly is going to be very busy, really, over the entirety of the weekend. We've got rain coming in for tonight. We catch a break tomorrow, some messy weather tomorrow night. And then things get a little bit interesting for early Sunday and possibly again early next week. A very active weather pattern appears to be in the cards for Newfoundland and Labrador. Starting off with live radar imagery, one of my favorite things that we have access to here. You can see the sweep going around there. If you're in the metro right now, we are seeing some fairly heavy rain. As we take a look in here, you can see some reds and yellows showing up here from Whitburn to Bay Roberts over Conception Bay and now getting onto the northeast Avalon. This is also right along the TCH, which I'll point out for you right there. So obviously the ruts in the road are going to become a concern this evening if you're heading out, so certainly keep that in mind. As we take a closer look in around St. John's at the moment, we can see this yellow area of rain. The question, how heavy is the rain, and we can see it's coming down at roughly 6 millimeters an hour, which is not overly impressive, but it's impressive enough, and I can hear the rain beating off the window here at NTV, so if you are heading out tonight, just kind of keep in mind that heavy rain is a good possibility on and off. Now, backing the view out, we can see that there is much more rain to come as we look back across parts of Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. This all has to work across the island overnight, and that's essentially exactly what we're starting to see right now. Now, you notice there's not a whole lot showing up in this area here. There is rain there, there's just no radar imagery. We can kind of see it showing up now across the west coast. So rain will become heavy at times overnight because this area of low pressure begins to move eastward, warm front lifting north, cold front moves east, all the precipitation works across the island. There's also a very juicy air mass in place right now, which would help really get some of the heavy rain out, especially across the Burin and Avalon peninsulas overnight. Rainfall amounts between now and 9 a.m. Saturday, not overly impressive, but it looks like we see a widespread 10 to 20 mils for the Avalon, except the metro where it looks like 5 to 10 may fall. I think we might end up closer to 20 in spots on the eastern Avalon. But southern Avalon, southwest Avalon, Burin Peninsula, south coast looks like a widespread 10 to 20 millimeters, pockets up to 30. Same thing across the west coast. But notice on the west coast we see some higher pockets as well between Parsons Pond and Corner Brook. And that's generally in the Grossmorn area, and the higher elevations could definitely see some enhancement of the rain, and this is picking up a pocket of 40 to 50 mils just north of Trout River. So keep that in mind, folks. Heading up into the high country, the snowpack may get a little bit unstable. Not so much tonight, but over the next couple of days as we get kind of a freeze-thaw cycle on the go. Avalanche risk, especially by Sunday and Monday in the mountains, is going to be substantially higher than it is now. Rainfall warning in place for the southeast, southwest Avalon, Burin Peninsula, Conagra region, 20 plus mils overnight, an additional 20 to 40 Saturday night. Burge-Oremia, Channel, Port aux Basques, Bay St. George, Corner Brook, Grossmorn, Parsons Pond, Hawke's Bay, rainfall warning tonight and Sunday as well. 20 plus mils likely overnight, 10 to 20 additionally Saturday. This all comes from Environment Canada. Futurecast will start us off tonight, 7 o'clock. Area of low pressure tracks eastward through Labrador. By midnight, we see heavy rain across the west coast, heavy rain across the south coast, Avalon, Burin Peninsula's adjacent areas. By Saturday morning, looks like the heaviest rain is beginning to move offshore, but we are still seeing those southerly winds, so temperatures are going to be quite warm tomorrow morning. And they're going to get downright mild tomorrow as the rain ends and we see some breaks of sun, especially away from the south coast. On the south coast, southern-facing shorelines, onshore winds bring the cold temperatures and the patchy fog. Almost a summer-like pattern for tomorrow. Next system begins to slide on in tomorrow night. Talk about that in a second. Tonight, temperatures holding in the single numbers, cooler south and the onshore winds getting gusty as well to 90 kilometers per hour at times. Up to 20 mils of rain on the Burin Peninsula and southern Avalon. For tomorrow, the farther northeast you go, the warmer it's going to be because of west-southwest winds. 14 degrees for the high in St. John's. I think the record tomorrow is close to 16. I'm not saying we're going to get there, but it's certainly a possibility. The farther south you go, onshore winds cooler with the fog. Southern Shore, Irish Loop, going to be fogged in tomorrow. Central, west coast overnight temperatures in the single numbers. Rain becoming heavy at times south and west and on the northern peninsula. And then for tomorrow, lighter winds, initially mild, but temperatures falling in the afternoon across the west coast as our next low moves in, which will be a mix for the west coast, especially from Corner Brook points northward, and possibly a mix for central tomorrow night as temperatures plummet in the evening tomorrow. Into Labrador tonight, temperatures, single numbers, above freezing in the east, cooler in the west, with the snow winding down, some snow on the north coast as well for tomorrow, quiet across Labrador, and temperatures into the single numbers below freezing in the west, near freezing east, but falling during the second half of the day. Now, our next weather maker taking shape across the southeast. We can see the rain across Georgia getting into South Carolina, Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, and it looks like Mississippi and Louisiana. That low is going to work across the island tomorrow night into early Sunday. Now, that is going to be a bit of a messy one because cold air begins to work into that system. And because of that, Environment Canada has issued a special weather statement for the potential freezing rain for much of northeastern and central interior Newfoundland Saturday night into Sunday. So Futurecast will actually show this rather well. So 7 o'clock tomorrow night, here comes more rain. Initially, winds become northeasterly, so we fall across the Avalon, but everywhere else begins to fall as well. By midnight Saturday night, looks like interior areas, seeing snow, especially higher elevations, looks like right in the low valleys, Corner Brook, Deer Lake, probably rain at that point. But as temperatures cool off a little bit by Sunday morning, we are seeing some snow or freezing rain for central, interior, west coast, northern peninsula. Rain east. Another mild day Sunday as well in the east, but things begin to cool down during the second half of the day Sunday as the low pulls away and the snow falls in Labrador. Much colder air returns for Monday. So that's kind of how it looks now. This has been a long evening weather update going almost 7 minutes now. So I hope you found this informative, and I hope you have a great Friday night, and I will have more weather updates for you coming up more than likely tomorrow. See you then.